I always get excited on Thursday. That means it's time for a take on the news from the left, right, and middle. This week, from the left, our guest goes simply by the name Lionel. He is a legal analyst and former prosecutor, and talk show and talk radio host. And he's the author of the book, Everyone's Crazy Except You and Me. I like that title. And from the right is Tom Avitabile. He is a conservative commentator and author. And his latest book, The Devil's Quota, is available for pre-order and comes out next week. You can give me your $20 for that plug for you, Tom.
It's worth 40.
Well, okay. I love that. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
All right, you've been given the rules. You know how we play this game, so let's get started. Our first topic tonight is, of course, everyone's talking about the Ebola situation. It's an outbreak in Africa. It's an incident so far in the U.S., but a lot of attention has been focused on it. So here's the question, and I think I'll start with you, Tom. Has the White House, the Obama administration, handled this potential crisis well?
Well, I don't think they did, because I do believe that they thought they had a manageable crisis. I believe that when Rahm Emanuel said, never let a crisis go to waste because you get to do things you couldn't normally do, I think they saw this as an opportunity. I think where they miscalculated was what we're talking about now, this kind of raise in awareness, panic, if you will, that's got people really scared. So I don't know what they were able to ram through this time, but I think they thought they could manage it and get more legislation, get emergency funding, all kinds of things. I don't think it worked out that way for them. So from their perspective, I say they haven't handled it well.
Lionel?
It's not his jurisdiction. He has been blamed for this. Let's look at the real culprit. We have the Hill-Burton Act of 1946, which mandates 4.5 beds per 1,000 people per state in order to take advantage of certain federal funding. We're at 3. We only beat Great Britain and Ireland. This country doesn't care about health because there's no money in health. Now, if this were oil, if it were natural gas, if it were anything that involved the word climate, it'd be all over it. The problem is that we have a World Health Organization that should be involved in this. The CDC is not a regulatory agency. And the president is, frankly, with all that he has on his plate, this is not his rodeo, so to speak. This is any president, not just President Obama.
I want to ask you, I want to push you a little bit on that, Lionel. Could this not be considered a national security issue?
No.
If Ebola did run rampant through this country, it certainly could be. No. Why no?
A pandemic is something. We're using the word national security like we're using the word commander-in-chief. It fills in every little niche. No, this is certainly important. The pandemic is important, and it's health. But this is a country that, through austerity goals and cutting funding and cutting hospital beds and the privatization of hospitals since the late 70s, that's the problem. Listen, the president's got a lot that I will blame him for, but not this.
I think, to Lionel's point, yes and no, because we've got a handful of cases, 2, 3 cases. Okay, statistically that's 0. It's the hype. It's the wind before the disease that's getting everybody crazy. Is it manageable? Maybe, maybe not. Can there be an outbreak? Especially if you have open borders.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Here.
How big a mistake, if you think it was a mistake, that President Obama appointed the Ebola czar Ron Klain? How big a mistake do you think that is? I'm assuming you think that's a mistake.
I don't think it's a mistake for him in his career. I don't know where he's going with that. I think Ben Carson would have been a wonderful choice. He's a medical guy, okay, and he would have brought in some of the people.
Well, he might be gearing to run for president.
He's not going to run against Obama, and it's about people's lives, or anybody with like one of the soldiers that were involved with quarantine and know how to run something and know how to organize people. You've got a political person in there whose job it is to make sure that the White House at all times hits the company line, that every department hits the company line. That's his job. It's not saving people.
With all due respect, this is not a latter version of "you're doing a heck of a job, Brownie." I mean, this is a titular, theoretical. It's almost like saying, the Postmaster General. It's terrific. It's fantastic. Or Smokey the Bear, I think, has more of an iconic relevance than this. Here is the problem. If you want to blame somebody, blame Rick Perry. Because it starts at the state level.
Governor Rick Perry.
Governor
Texas,
Rick Perry,
yes.
who, by the way, he is full on rhetoric and short on substance. Let's go, because this is where our epicenter, our ground zero, so to speak, was Texas. And let's make sure that we hold people jurisdictionally accountable. Like I said before, if you want to blame President Obama, I'll do it. not this.
Okay, and so with that, let's turn the corner and talk about something else. Let's talk about the economy. There seems to be, at least all year long, this slow trickle of good news. Unemployment going down, the economy being stimulated, consumer confidence going up. So here's my question. Lionel, you get to start. When will the critics of the Obama administration stop blaming him for a bad economy and admit that the economy is recovering?
Never, because critics are there. They are there to make him look bad. Look, let me tell you what the problem is. We have a world depression. We have a $1.5 quadrillion derivatives bubble that is going to implode at any time. We have a Federal Reserve which, if it wanted to, tomorrow could issue a $5 trillion tranche, 0% over 100 years, put 30 million new jobs, 5 million jobs for kids during the summer to keep them off the streets. They could do this, but if you're not a zombie bank or some foreign corporation, we don't care about you. We don't care about health. We don't care about infrastructure. We don't care about nothing. So if you want to blame him for this, go ahead.
My apologies to the conservative folk. All right, as a conservative, will you say it? Will you admit it?
He wasn't talking about conservatives.
Will you admit? I know, but just I mean, you know, philosophically.
I got it. Yeah.
Will you admit that the economy is getting better? Can you do that?
No, I can't, because the president,
why not?
Our fearless leader himself has said
248,000 jobs have been added to the economy.
Yeah,
unemployment
but what
rates at the all-time low, or not all-time, but 12-year low.
I got to take issue on the unemployment rate. That's the U3. It's a ratio. It's designed to look good. You look at the U6, it's a disaster, okay? The government comes out every month and they say, oh, unemployment went down or whatever. They're basically on the U3. The U6, which you can read one line down in the report, is horror. There's 92 million.
Horror? Really? Horror, Tom?
The U6 is horror. The actual unemployment rate, don't forget, when they say the unemployment rate is down, they mean people in the market right now looking for jobs. They do not count everybody who gave up and went home. 92 million people gave up and went home. Those are not counted in the rosy job numbers. So we have a couple of people who get Ebola, and we got a czar. We got 92 million people out of work who could be tax-producing citizens that would create the money to put the beds in the hospitals and shape up systems and shape up infrastructure. They're sitting on their bums instead of putting up tax money, taking tax money, because we don't have a czar, I guess. You know, it's not as big as Ebola.
We have a country here that has the economic sophistication of a kindergartner. Has no idea what's going on. If I were the president, I'd look in the camera and say, hey, is that the camera? Hey, Federal Reserve, let me tell you something. I want to make everybody who is out of work a bank. And then I want the bank to go under, because you'll bail them out. We have something called the Federal Reserve. It's been said as Federal Express. This is a private central bank, and it sits there without anybody knowing anything about it. And you want to blame the President of the United States for Ebola? What, prickly heat and herpes next? We don't have the sophistication. We don't have the mental ability, the mentation. You notwithstanding, because I think you're onto something,
right.
But we don't understand the basics.
This segment has been a whole lot of fun. It's always fun, but, and Tom, you are a prince to come, but Lionel, ain't another one like you. It's been great.
And it's not left, it's not right, it's correct.
All right. Thank you to both, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. That's going to do it. What else can we say? We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.